Hello, this is Michael Crosa. I am the director of Jollyville Radio, as well as one of the writers and editors and cast members and just about everything else that comes with the territory. So we are doing our favorite skits, kind of in anticipation of season 5, which we're writing differently. So every other season we've done on kind of a rolling basis so that there wasn't really a gap in between episodes or seasons, but we've decided that got to be kind of too much. So we're trying season 5 writing, recording, and editing all in one big go. Which means that there's a delay in episode publishing, even though we are hard at work at Jollyville. So anyway, all of that to say, I'm here to talk about one of my favorite skits, and I have a lot of pet skits. I think all of the writers and individual cast members have skits of theirs that they think are their favorite and really hold dear. I think there's one that stands out to me as something that probably goes understated or, whatever. That's the musical Bob Ross skit that showed up in episode, I think it was episode 227, which was called Focus. And I think in the episode we referred to it as the joy of music making, out of, respect to Bob Ross, or in reference to Bob Ross, I guess. I do a lot of the music on the show. And so for editing, I use a program called GarageBand that many of you might be familiar with. It comes free and standard on Apple products, and it's really pretty powerful for a free tool. And so one of the things that it has is it has these little loops in it, musical loops that you can build and use for free. And a lot of our music comes from that. So for example, I might be able to find a bass line and it sounds like this. And so then I can find something else and put it on top. And you can even add drums. Or whatever the case may be. And so we build a lot of music that way. Jollyville Delight was built that way. Jollyville. Funny skits and jokes in every episode wraps up with community B. One more time, say J-O. So the musical Bob Ross skit is a lot of fun. I can't remember exactly where the idea came from, but I adore Bob Ross. I love that spirit of learning and calm, and I just think that that's great, and we need more of that in the world. As you heard in Emily's skit, of course we can't really do anything visual in the podcast. Actually, we might have a visual coming up in season 5, but that's a secret between you and me for right now. So Bob Ross, musical Bob Ross. So I did a whole skit in which I impersonated Bob Ross and built a piece of music as if I were Bob Ross. So listening to the skit, I kind of made both the script and the music as I went along, and so I hadn't really planned out exactly what it was going to do. I just sort of went with how the feeling took me. And one of the things that kind of bugs me now that I look back is I think I started every sentence with, "Now why don't we?" And so like everything. Now why don't we have a bass line? Now why don't we have a little hi-hat? Now so that's a bit of a bummer. But anyway, one of the things that I really love about Jollyville Radio as a whole is that, especially through quarantine, it was really a wonderful way to connect me with my friends and build community. And I really love listening to the episodes because I just feel that connection every time I listen to episodes. I get to hear my friends' voices and I get to hear my friends' jokes, and that's a lot of fun. And so as I was working on this music, I just felt called to start working in voices. And so I went through as many voices as I could remember and names that I could remember, and pretty much everyone that was involved with Jollyville at the time. Of course, we always kind of lose some and gain some. It's always a revolving production team, but and I just worked them all into the song, and you'll hear it about 3/4 of the way through. That these voices come up and they're all cut in sort of musically, and I just love this kind of cascading feeling of the voices coming together. You know what? I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I'm going to play this section of those voices right now before I do the whole thing.
Julia Stonewash, Julia KJVR, Julia Stonewash, Julia
Piece of rice casserole.
Julia Stonewash, KJVR.
That's exactly what it is, boo.
Jollyville Radio.
Jollyville Radio.
You're listening to Jollyville Radio. That hot, gooey cheese.
Listen to Jollyville.
KJVR. I'm Amanda Keith. Sportscaster Carrie Gardner.
Peggy Bright.
Just Anderson.
Stubby Mike.
Paul Frederickson.
Hey, Paul. I want to get swole.
Will Skit.
Hello.
Robert Cheerful. For mayor of Jollyville.
Julia Stonewash, Jollyville Radio. Julia KJVR.
Cool. So, when we published that, man, I listened to that bit over and over and over and over again, and it felt so wonderful. It just felt like a group hug. Most of the Jollyville folks, I mean, we've met in ones and twos, but most of this entire thing has been made over Zoom, and so it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a fun feeling to close my eyes and feel like everybody is around me. But anyway, I've rambled enough. I'm going to let you listen to the whole thing, including my voices with all the, well, why don't we thrown in there. I really hope you enjoy it. And I hope that you'll stick around and be ready to listen for season 5. I'm really excited to present it to you. I think it's going to be unique and special and just all kinds of wonderful things. So anyway, thanks again for listening. Thanks for making it this far. And we'll see you soon. Here's the clip. Musical Bob Ross.
Why, hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the joy of music making on Jollyville Radio KJVR. Today we're going to be making an instrumental musical track, and I'm going to go slow so that you can follow along at home. Let's start by meeting our drum set. We're going to hear the kick drum, the hi-hat, and snare, and we're also going to hear the tom-toms and the cymbals. Why don't we start with quarter notes on the bass drum, and we can add eighth notes on the hi-hat and a crash cymbal on beat 1. And of course we're going to need a snare drum on 2 and 4. Well, now why don't we add some syncopation on the toms? Now why don't we change that pesky cymbal and make it more interesting? You like that? And now that we know how the drummer works, let's just really let him rip. Now we want to make sure that our song has a strong bottom, so we're going to put some bass guitar in there too. Well, I think that's starting to sound pretty funky, my friends. Remember, there's no such thing as a wrong note, just happy little accidentals. Now that we've had a little break, why don't we go back to where we started? Now, why don't we try changing it up a little?
KJVR, Julia Stonewash,
Piece of rice casserole.
Julia Stonewash, KJVR.
That's exactly what it is, Spoopy.
Jollyville Radio.
Jollyville Radio.
You're listening to Jollyville Radio. That hot, gooey cheese.
Listen to Jollyville.
KJVR. I'm Amanda Keith, sportscaster Carrie Gardner.
Peggy Bright.
Just Anderson.
Stubby Mike.
Paul Frederickson.
Paul, I want to get swole.
Well, skit.
Hello.
Robert Cheerful.
For mayor of Jollyville.
Julia Stonewash, Jollyville Radio. Julia KJVR.
Why don't we bring it down a little bit to a close? Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Joy of Music here on Jollyville Radio, KJVR. I hope you'll come again next time. Thanks, and God bless. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Jollyville Radio Season 5 is coming soon.